All right, so what you're gonna need is you're gonna need 4 packs. These are 250 grams a piece, 4 packs to start. A lot of people have said they hate opening these because sometimes they have difficulty. So me, I don't do anything special. I do the press until one side opens. Yeah, I know, it's not technical. You know, I'm not just here because I'm pretty. There's function to this form. All right, we got all that. I'm gonna go wash up because I don't want to get their equipment dirty. I'll be right back. You've got the 4 blocks of cream cheese in here right now. And you want to do this in steps. You don't want to rush, but you also don't want to overmix, because if you add too much air to cream cheese, when it bakes, it's going to do this, expand, crack, and you don't get that. If you're going to top it, fine. But the problem is when it cracks, it will also dry out along those edges, which is maybe not something you want to do. So your first step, you got your 4 blocks of cheese, cream cheese in there. Oh, and this is forget that light, no fat. We're not playing that game. You don't get dessert and get to have low fat. Calories, 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 calories. This is regular full fat cream cheese. Once again, I'm using organic coconut sugar. There's a cup of this. I know it sounds sweet, but it's actually a really nice taste and it's not overpowering. I absolutely refuse to use you know, that processed granulated white sugar crap. You know, I'm not a fan of it. So we bring it up into place. We got it on stir, super low. Make sure everything's in place, no fingers anywhere. Good. And I've never used this machine, so I don't even know where the, all right. So yeah, it's going to take a while to incorporate it. Keep your spatula close. And again, you're not using a whisker, you're using a paddle. You're incorporating, you're not beating it, okay? Okay. So I've increased the speed to the 2nd notch. It's no longer on a stir. It's a slow mix, incorporate, that kind of thing. You're going to want to stop it. Clean off the paddle. Scrape the sides. Try and keep yourself from, you know, eating it. One of those weirdos. Yeah, I know, I should just take the bowl out, make it easier on myself, but I don't do anything easy. I like to show you that pretty much anybody can do this, regardless. You know, some people, they edit their videos to make it look absolutely perfect, and then some people get intimidated because they say, you know, I don't have those skills, I don't this, I don't that. You know what? Cooking's supposed to be fun. And if you get stressed out because you don't do it as perfectly as somebody else, that's just silly. So if cameraman gets in here, you'll see that it's incorporating very nicely. Yeah, very nice. So I'm going to give it another step up. Again, not whisking, just incorporating with a nice fast stir. So we'll turn that off. You can already see it's getting a lot smoother. One of the keys, and I guess I should have mentioned this before, is try and get your ingredients close to room temperature. I know people worry that they're going to go bad and stuff like that, but realistically, you don't keep it out there for days. But if you pull everything out 2 hours ahead of time, it makes it easier to mix, and then you don't have lumps in your cheesecake. And then people are like, ooh, ah, and they think you're a superstar, when really you just listen to me. And then you become a superstar. And you're humble like me too. So, at this stage, this is incorporated well enough. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna add 2 tablespoons of your vanilla extract. Make sure it's real. If you're gonna go through all this effort, use the good stuff, please. And most recipes will tell you 1/2 cup of sour cream. I like to bump it up just a little bit, like just under 3/4 cup. And I like to use Greek yogurt. I just like the taste. If you want to use sour cream, please do. But again, don't use that light stuff. Go to another channel if that's what you think you're going to use. You know what? Let's get this on here. There we go. And mixy, mixy, mixy. You know what? It'd probably be better if I did this. Like I said, we're not going to edit out our mistakes. So this is on setting 2. Like I said, we're going to take our time, but we're not going to over mix it. So if cameraman gets back in here, you'll see now she's getting really smooth. It doesn't quite flow yet. The eggs will help with that. But all we're doing right now is, it's really hard to see because we used warm cheesecake, cream cheese to begin with. This is just basically breaking down the little bit of lumps that are left and making it completely smooth. In about 10 more seconds, we're gonna have a really, really nice pre-egg cheesecake batter. Yeah, we're already there. Look at that. Like you're velvety, they like to use that word. That's a little too frou-frou for me. It's a nice. All right, so we'll turn that off. Back down it goes. Clean everything off. Give the edge a nice wipe. Bring it all back to the center. There we go. Clean it up. There. So next step is going to be the eggs. Some people I've seen is very nice. So what I've seen some people do is they crack all the eggs in at once because they think, hey, what's the difference? Do them one at a time, and I like to do it while the machine is mixing. Sorry, I'm just noticing a couple spots that aren't fully incorporated. This is a good time to make sure they are. Get all the way to the bottom, move it around. How you doing? How's your mama? There we go. Anyways, back to the eggs. Don't rush and put them all in at once. This is where you want to incorporate and make sure it's fully incorporated, because the eggs are what does the binding, and when it gets all blended, cooks out in there, and then cools down, and it gives you that really nice texture. So back up into place. I'm going to put this on the slowest setting as I add in the eggs. 1. Now don't get your hand all the way in there. There's plenty of room. If there's room for my hands, there's room for your hands. And then just watch. When you see that the egg texture is pretty much gone, grab number 2. As you can see, as it goes in, it looks more viscous because of the egg. Now what you want to do is, you see how it's kind of going away, it's getting incorporated. And you know, in about 3, 2, 1, that would tell you when to add your next egg, if that made any sense at all. And make sure you don't get any shell in there. And if you do, don't think, nobody will notice, because I guarantee you, if you went through the time to make a nice silky cheesecake, they're gonna find the eggshell. Just dig it out. So now what I like to do here as it's getting mostly incorporated, kick it up and watch as it smooths out. Like as you can see, we're basically lump free at this point. You're seeing a little bit of air bubbles and a few little lumps left, but you've got a, at this point, you've got a 95, 96% smooth batter. So now we're going to turn it off. We're going to lower it. Now, this one I'm actually going to take off the stand. Just because I want to make sure that I get all the edges. I want to get all this stuff back in. See, like, look how smooth that is. Like, you'll have still some thicker cheesecake, if that makes sense. But I always give it a stir before I pour it into the batter anyways. So all I'm doing here is making sure that anything that isn't currently in the batter gets into the batter for the final minute of mixing. Now when it's time to mix, I want a clean spoon as well. Or when it's time to pour it, I want a clean spoon as well. Because if there's anything like that left on it, I don't want to, after all this effort, go and put another lump back in. So, if it's not in the bowl at the bottom, when I'm done here, then it's not going in. Locked in place. Back up. Now we're going to go stage 1. Stage 2. And then we're just going to kick it up to stage 3. And then back it off to just the stage 2 for about 30 seconds. I'm going to go clean this off. I should have had another one. I'll be right back. All right, and we're done. Look how beautiful that is. Okay, cameraman Matt, get in here. So it doesn't matter how hard you try, you will get a little bit of air in at some point. So what you can do is just tap it for a little bit. You see a few more coming up? There you go. You'd never want to do this when it's in the oven because you'd ruin everything. But as you can see, it's working out a few. Working out a few, working out a few. There you go. See, there was a larger one. But that's how you do it. So let's bring it over to the table. We've got the crust cooled off. And we'll let cameraman Matt get over to this side. So we've got our water not quite boiling, but hot enough. That'll create the water bath. This will get submerged in it, keep everything at a really nice temperature. Now, like I was saying, you don't want to incorporate the gunk. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a side that I'm going to pour from, and I'm going to get rid of anything that might be a little drier, and something that might affect the nice smoothness. We spent all, like I said, we spent all that time making it smooth. It's nice. Why would you want to make it not nice? What's the matter for you? All right. So that's the side I'm going to pour from. And if you get enough batter in here, don't worry about scraping, because then you might just incorporate some of the stuff you don't want anyways. Yeah, there's more bubbles than I wanted, but what do you do? So you can take the stuff off the bottom, because that's where the paddle's done its job. But I'm not going to go on the sides, because there might be some stuff there that may not be ideal. And again, don't rush. You're not in a hurry. Spending an extra minute here is going to save you later. You don't want to make a mess. But look at that. What a perfect amount of filling. And I like to go all the way around really gently. I'm sure cameraman Mac will pick this up. Look how I'm breaking the tension against the side of the springform pan. I don't want it backing away. I want it to grab, because it's going to rise. So you want it to be in positive contact, or at least that's my opinion. What would I know? And as these bubbles start coming up, it never hurts to let it stand for 4 or 5 minutes anyways. And then you can have a toothpick and just get rid of a lot of these. There you go. So I'm going to let it stand for about 5 minutes. You want your oven at 325, because you're going to bake, depending on, there's so many different factors depending on where you are in the world, how humid the air is, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to aim to bake this for 70 to 75 minutes. Doesn't mean that's perfect for you, but I'm going to start checking it. You don't want to keep opening it up. For the first hour, just know that it's not done, so don't open your oven up. I'm going to use convection, which is why I'm at 325. If you don't have convection, bring it up to 350. But like I said, I'm not going to check for the first hour. First 60 minutes, don't even worry about it. Go have a cappuccino. Go read a book if you're into that kind of weird stuff. I don't know, go find out what the Kardashians are doing. But don't open the door for the first 60 minutes. Then at 60, 65 minutes, check it. Do you like the way it looks? The outside should be like stable. The inside should give a little bit of a jiggle. That's when you know it's done. If you see it browning too quickly, but you don't think it's done because it's still too, liquidy, cover it up. Keep the moisture from leaving. A lot of tips like that. So I'm going to go start washing. I'll give this another 4 minutes and then we'll be back. 5 minutes is up. It was actually about 6, but whatever. So as you can see, for the most part, the larger bubbles have come out. As it warms up, the surface tension, it'll get a little more liquid, so things will pop out. But now what we want to do is we want to prepare our water bath. And I didn't bring any, intelligent gloves. So I'm going to do this. Please don't do this. Go get your proper oven mitts. There. I'm special. So, there is your water bath. Beautiful. Some people just cover the bottom. I like to try and get at least 2/3 the way up of the height of the cream cheese. And then we're going to take it over to the oven and start the timer. Let's go. As you can see, if I was more intelligent, I would have created the water bath here instead of dropping it all over. So now I got to go mop. Thank goodness nobody else is here. Anyways, so we're at 375 or 325. 325.
What's going on here?
Hey, chef, hello. You'll recognize this guy. He lost the last challenge to yours truly.
He's the champ.
For now. So what we got is we got a water bath, we got a cheesecake.
Oh, that's nice.
Thank you.
There's a lot of pasta here. You gonna make some pasta too?
Yeah, we're gonna feed a lot of people that need to feed.
That's very good. That's
Yeah.
very good.
So
That's good product here.
there we go. In the oven. What I've done. See you later, chef. We're at 325, like I said. We set it for 60 minutes. That's for me to come check it. Until then, it doesn't exist in my life. I'm gonna get back to what we've been doing on the side here in between everything. You'll see it on a different episode. We like to go to the shelters when it starts getting colder and feed people. I'm not gonna get into that right now, but Sorrentinos has been a huge help, making sure that we could feed thousands of people every year. Like I said, I'm not going to get too into it, but Sorrentinos, great family, the Rego family. That's what we're going to do while this is baking. So stay tuned for that episode as well. Okay, so important here, you got to know your ovens. So we did 60 minutes, but because this is a commercial, a much stronger oven, we did get a little bit of browning. I think the GoPro is making it look darker than it is. It's just barely tan. But as you can see at this point, there's no cracking at all. So that part, success. We're gonna let it cool off now. Here's the cheesecake we made yesterday. Properly, it should cool at least 8 hours, which meant overnight for us. So let's dive in. You know, I can already see there were a few little non-perfections, but let's get into it. So first off, none of the dreaded cracking that a lot of people worry about. Double layered this wrap so no water got in from the water bath. But as you can see, oh, maybe a little bit did. Oh, we'll see. We'll see. All right. But as you can see, she did brown a little bit on top. Now this will be a combination of two things. I used the coconut sugar, which does have a lower, we'll call it burning point, than granulated white refined sugar. But I think the biggest difference was using a commercial grade, very powerful oven. The convection, this was my mistake. Because the convection is blowing from a fan port like that, it's a very strong current of air, hot air that comes in. My first mistake was putting the tray basically on the rack that was parallel with it. I could have solved all these issues by going up one rack so the hot air hit underneath and warmed up the whole oven. What it did here was it went over. So as you can see, behind the lip, it didn't have as much of a problem because the air current passed over, and then as it hit here, it got a little bit darker. So what you could do in a situation like that, like I said, one, just lift it, go on a rack higher than what's direct with that the fan blowing the convection. The other would be with build, you know, like a tinfoil air dam that would keep the air flowing up and over. But either way, not important. Let's get to unveiling. Let's see how it did. As you can see, I didn't even need to run the, what do you call it, like a butter knife around it. She separated well. So as you can see, she got a little brown on the top, but otherwise she sat nice and flat, not a lot of air bubbles. Keep in mind the crust isn't that thick. We just tapered the edge for a nice contour. That much is just the contour. The rest is the cream cheese filling. It just held it really nice. So I think we should get on to figuring out what we're going to do for a topping.